Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 10 start and sit video for the wide receiver position. Again, this is always going to be based off of full PPR and half PPR if you are new to the channel. If you guys do have questions about standard, you could always hit us up in the comments down below. We'll help answer any of those questions because it is a little bit different in that aspect. Now, these are your obvious starts for wide receiver this week, whether it be matchup, whether it be they're the guy, right? They're the ones getting plenty of targets no matter what the matchup is. These receivers should be absolutely starting for you guys this week. Remember, there is a game at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday, so be prepared, especially you West Coast folks. You've got to make sure your lineups are ready for that because there is a very early game that Sunday, okay? Start. These are the guys I believe should be some good starts this week. The first guy I have is going to be Amari Cooper versus the Dolphins. Dolphins allow 28.4 points a game to wide receivers collectively. They also allow 150 yards. Now, this would be a game Browns will probably have to play catch up on. In my previous video about the running game, I believe that if the Dolphins are going to lose this game, Nick Chubb has to have the game of his season, I would say, just to kind of keep the Dolphins offense off of the board. But here's my thing. Is that going to happen? We're not sure. I think Chubb is going to have a great game. But with that said, Amari Cooper, I think, has another great game in this one because there is a lot of injuries in the Miami secondary. They do allow, again, a good amount of points. This game could be a shootout to a degree, meaning that they're going to play catch up. They're going to have to pass a little bit more. So Jacoby Brissett's got to be on his A game for sure. But I think this is going to be a game where Amari Cooper can really take advantage of this secondary and actually have a really good outing this weekend. Another guy I have as a good start is going to be Jerry Jeudy versus the Titans. The Titans give up the third most points to receivers, which is 33.4 collectively, and 190 receiving yards. They also allow an average of a touchdown per game. So either it's Jeudy or it's Sutton. It's one of the two. And I believe Jeudy has really the favorite targets lately of Russell Wilson. I think Judy's got the better big play ability than Courtland Sutton. And really, realistically, Courtland Sutton's getting a lot of the number one cornerback in coverage his way. That could possibly change depending on how Jerry Jeudy performs this weekend. But the Titans don't do a great job at stopping the pass. They don't do a great job at stopping receivers in general. And I like both Jeudy and Sutton this week. I just have Jeudy a little bit higher ranked than Courtland Sutton. Now, if you have Courtland Sutton, you should play him as well. I think he is going to be a good play, especially in the flex, maybe a wide receiver too in this aspect, but I like Jerry Jeudy just a little bit more. Another receiver I have in here is going to be Chase Claypool versus the Lions. Now, this is the first time I mentioned him all season. But poor Lions. I mean, these guys get no respect. They had a good game against the Packers, but they still gave up over 400 yards defensively. And their defense is absolutely horrendous. Everybody knows it. Anytime you have a player going against the Lions, they should be a start every single week. Claypool now is going to be in his second game for the Bears. It should be a lot more comfortable in his offense. And I like the big physical play that I think Claypool brings to the table for Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields in its own right is going to probably rush the ball, maybe a touchdown pass here or two. But I like this matchup a lot for Claypool to have his second outing to be the Lions. This is a great one, and I like him as a good sneaky start this week. Now, I've got some pretty big names for sits. Now, you guys probably kill me in the comments, and that's okay. But the first guy I have is Mike Evans versus the Seahawks. Look, Seahawks give up the third fewest points to receivers with 21.8, and they only allowed 123 yards combined. On top of that, they just held DeAndre Hopkins to 13 points last week. And I truly believe defense travels so much better compared to offense when they do anything. And the fact that they're all playing in Munich, Germany, that I think is going to play a factor. I think the Bucs defense plays better, and I think the Seahawks defense plays better. Run games typically travel well as well, and I think that's going to be a game for Kenneth Walker, which is going to help keep that offense off the field. So I know this is a pass-heavy offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their run game pretty much is non-existent. Tom Brady's passing 50, 60 times a game. But there are a lot of times Evans just kind of disappears, especially in games that really should be easy ones for him. And I just think this is a tough matchup for him. I think Godwin ends up being the better receiver in this group. I think he's going to get targeted a lot more. He tends to be the slot guy. And it's anytime Brady's ever in a pickle, he goes to the slot. He throws it to the quick pass. He throws it, 5-10 yards. You can kind of see what kind of play you can make. Evans is typically more the bigger guy, the red zone guy, and he's a great receiver. I think he's one of the best that we have in this game, but I just don't feel comfortable in this matchup. You're probably going to start him, and I don't blame you. I just think that if you have better options out there, I would possibly look at putting him on the side. Another receiver I have is going to be CeeDee Lamb versus the Packers. And as a Cowboys fan, I hate saying that because I love the talent of CeeDee Lamb. But let's be honest, guys. CeeDee Lamb, and I know this season's been a little weird, has never been better than wide receiver, I think, 16 since he's been in the league. And I know he's had Amari Cooper on the opposite side, so that played a factor. But he was targeted more last year than Amari Cooper was for Dallas. And CeeDee Lamb just, for whatever reason it is, he's so hyped to be like one of the top 5 receivers in the game. He has yet to be that. And I'm, as a realistic Cowboys fan, it's just the truth. Lamb is not the wide receiver 1. He's more the wide receiver 1B to a 1A. I think he's not quite a wide receiver 2. And just understand, Jair Alexander is one of the better cornerbacks in this game, and he's going to be covering CeeDee Lamb. Now, if Kellen Moore is creative and puts CeeDee Lamb around, move him into the slot, things like that, he could end up having a pretty good game. But if you're playing him on the outside, Alexander is going to cover him. And Alexander is one of the better corners in this game that will make sure he doesn't have a good game. Packers have only allowed 3 boom games, and that's to Diggs at 22 points, Jefferson 39 points, in that weird game of Russell Gage. Otherwise, Packers are holding most receivers 23.3 points combined. That's multiple receivers. Dallas has become more of a run offense as well, and I think that's going to help limit the effect of CeeDee Lamb. Again, I understand starting him just because of the boom capability. I don't think his floor is as high as you think it is right now, especially in this game. I think it's a little bit lower. I could see him getting 10 to 12 points and just being a disappoint. It is what it is. And I hate to say it, I think Cowboys can pull off the win, but I don't like him this week. Another receiver I don't like this week is going to be Terry McLaurin versus the Eagles. Eagles hold receivers to 23.9 points combined, and the last time they held Terry McLaurin to 16 points, which actually is not a bad game. My biggest concern in this is going to be the pass rush ability to get to Heineke, as well as Darius Slay covering Terry McLaurin. Darius Slay, again, like Jair Alexander, is one of the better cornerbacks in this game. They do a phenomenal job of keeping the number 1 receiver limited to 2 to 3 catches, if that, a game. So this is a really tough matchup for Terry McLaurin. Do I see him getting 16 points? No. I see him, again, realistically 10 to 12 points. I see him getting 4 to 5 catches, maybe, depending on where he gets moved around in this offense. He is Heineke's favorite receiver, which I always said when Taylor Heineke came in, Terry McLaurin's value has just gone up. It really has. And I think he's going to be a solid receiver, just not this week against the Eagles. It's going to be a good Monday night game. Secretly, I'm rooting for the Commanders. And I hate to say it, but that's what I'm going. But I like that matchup against the Eagles versus, obviously, the Terry McLaurin. Now, as far as sleepers, and I don't know if you really want to call this a sleeper, I got Chris Olave versus the Steelers. Steelers allow over 200 receiving yards to wide receivers and 2 touchdowns a game. Olave is essentially the only target, really, besides Alvin Kamara. And this is a great game for Olave to have a successful matchup. And because he's one of the few targets for Andy Dalton, I believe Chris Olave is going to have a really big game. So I don't know if it's necessarily a sleeper. I think most people aren't like surprised by it. I think they're going to probably start him anyways, but I like him this week against the Steelers. Another sleeper I have is Devonta Smith versus the Commanders. Another really good matchup. Last time Devonta Smith played the Commanders, he had over 30 points in fantasy, but he's just played so inconsistently where I think that's why I think the sleeper tag is such a good one for him. I don't think he's going to absolutely destroy the Commanders like he did the first time. But I do believe he's going to be targeted pretty well in this game. I think this is going to be a really close game. I think a lot of people are going to be really surprised by how this matchup is going to play out. I know there's a lot of Eagle fans out there who really think that this is the best team. They're playing really well. Don't get me wrong. The Eagles are playing really well, and you can only play who you're scheduled, so it's not against them. They've just had a soft schedule. But I do think Devonta Smith is going to have a really phenomenal game. I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant with him. I would put him in your flex. I just think he's going to turn out to be 15 to 18 points, which is a great flex play, especially, again, with how inconsistent he has been lately. So those are my start sits and sleepers for the Week 10 edition. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you check out our start and sit video for the quarterback and running back position. That way you guys are prepared for this weekend and Monday night. Also, while you're at it, if you guys haven't, hit us up in the comments down below. Ask us whether it's trade questions, whether it's waiver questions, whether it be your lineup questions. Continue to hit us up in the comments down below. That's what we're here to help you guys answer those tough lineup questions. We'll do our best to give you reasons why we picked that person over this person. So that way you guys can make the valid and right choice for your team. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. Again, check out our other start sit videos. Hit that subscribe button. I'll check you guys out next time.